So I concede the day was a little disappointing for me today. I had hoped to see DCYF Secretary Tana Senn in person and basically say, I've been trying to get you for nearly 6 months now for an interview. I'm not able to make that happen. Can you please answer our questions? We have been since the end of December investigating local daycares, home daycare providers receiving, in some cases, inexplicably large taxpayer subsidies. Um, 20, $30,000 a month or more, many of them, and many of the ones that we have visited, there's been no evidence of a daycare. So I was hoping, knowing that Tana Senn was going to be giving an update today to the DCYF Oversight Board, that I'd have a chance to press her in person and say, what's going on? And can we please sit down and have an in person interview? I want to share with you what I have seen and uncovered with my own work. And I want you to respond to that. Unfortunately, she gave her update to the oversight board remotely today instead of appearing in person. Her office is just a couple of blocks away. I'm not sure why she wasn't there in person. Nonetheless, this was part of what she shared today to the oversight board about that recent audit.
The conversation that was out in the community and out in the public was really tough on a lot of our childcare providers who do incredible work with our children and families. And again, while we welcome audits and we welcome questions that we can answer, we want to have a good use of our state dollars. We also recognize that that was really very stressful for childcare providers, and I think a lot felt like they were under attack, probably for no very good reason. And just again, already on a hard business and a very important resource for our state and our families. That was an unfortunate byproduct, and we acknowledge that, and just want to express our gratitude to all the childcare providers who continue to do amazing work with our kids and families.
So, takeaways for me based on what she presented to the oversight board was that, the auditor finding this $37 million in potential overpayments, not fraud, she says, was an extrapolation. They weren't real hard data. They didn't look at all of the providers receiving subsidies in the state of Washington. So that was kind of my first takeaway from her comments, and you just saw part of those there, but it went, probably a 20-minute presentation in all. And she talked about how media reports and social media discussion has led to creating anxiety in the daycare community. And then after her comments, one of the members of the board, Lois Martin, actually said it's been more than anxiety, it's been death threats on providers. Now, I have followed up with the DCYF Oversight Board today asking for show me those specific examples. If they've received reports from providers who've been investigated or just had their front door knocked on, those folks have received death threats. I want to receive that information. Certainly, our intention in all of the reporting we've done in the last 6 months on this was never to intimidate, harass, or threaten anyone. It was simply to knock on the door and say, is there an actual daycare here? And if you've watched previous episodes or seen any of our reporting on this in the last 6 months, you can see that in most cases, many of the ones that we visited, there was no evidence of an actual daycare on the property. In some cases, the place is actually boarded up, or no one comes to the door, and maybe police are called on you for simply investigating and asking questions. I should also note that a couple of members of that oversight board, I spoke with them after today's meeting, including Senator Nikki Torres, who was very frustrated that the amount of time allotted for the auditor's report today from Secretary Senn was given a very limited amount of time. It was a 3+ hour meeting. They actually adjourned early, but the auditor's section was given very limited time, and oversight board members really were allowed to ask very limited questions. I mean, that's their job. This is the oversight board for DCYF. And she shared a lot of frustration, as did another member who said he will be speaking shortly with the chair of the board, Senator Claire Wilson of Federal Way, to say we need to conduct these meetings in a more efficient, effective way. If we're really going to be the oversight board, let us ask the questions. Give us time to hear an adequate response. If we're going to make anything better, that's how these things should be conducted.